So, welcome everyone to 2Qs with Lisa Ward. I am your host, and today our guest is Miss Anna. So, Anna, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself?
Thank you, Lisa. So nice to officially meet you as well. So my name is Anna, as Lisa mentioned, and I'm a functional medicine nurse practitioner. But before I even got to this point, just want to give a little bit of backstory. I was originally raised in Lithuania and in Russia. So we had a more holistic approach anyway when it came to health. There was a ton of fresh garlic. We had the royal jelly, the honeycombs on standby. We were feeling a little itch in the throat and lots of fresh herbs and sunshine and movement. And when I came to the States, I was a teenager, and all of a sudden I was met with depression, anxiety, things I didn't know as a child. And my gut health went on rapid decline. And there was, in addition to culture shock, there was isolation occurring. I didn't know anyone here. I knew English because my mother would speak with us at home in English, but the culture is completely different. You're
Mhm.
used to people kind of sticking to themselves. And I moved to Texas where everyone is very friendly and hospitable. And I wasn't used to all of that smiling, essentially. So that was a bit of an adjustment. I'm a very smiley person now, but that was not always the case. And basically, for me, the interest, like I said, was always the natural baseline was always more holistic. I knew when I grew up, I wanted to focus on healing. I just wasn't sure if it was healing animals or people. Initially, I wanted to go to the vet route, loved animals, but I shadowed a veterinarian and they put down a puppy and that was it. I couldn't handle it. Emotions, I'm very empathetic. And so for me, it just wasn't going to work. Decided, I was like, okay, well, I'm going to take care of people. My father passed away at a very young age when he was only 38 from stomach cancer. And so, with him, very healthy, he did everything he was supposed to do. It was just kind of like bad draw of cards, essentially. And I initially was interested in oncology because of that. But when I went nursing school route and did a couple shadowing again in oncology, it's not for everyone. You have to have a very strong type of person to be able to handle that constant negativity. Most of the
Mhm.
time, it's not positive with cancer patients. So I realized I was like, you know what? This is not really for me either. And so, kind of going back to how I mentioned when I first got here, like all of the changes that were occurring in my own body, from mental health to gut issues. And I was doing everything that I was doing back in Lithuania. I was eating clean. The food is different here. The soil is different. The water is different. I have major trust issues when it comes to food anyway. I'm like, since it's organic, but is it really organic?
Mhm.
So I kind of went on my own journey, taking care of my body, really working on managing stress. You know, when you're a perfectionist by trade and you really want to do well and prove yourself, your self-worth, I just threw myself into my academics. And so I didn't really have good balance. It was all school, 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 all work, no play. And so my first job when I graduated as a nurse, I decided to work in trauma. And you see the worst of the worst. Why did I do this to myself? You know, I'm a glutton for punishment. What can I
Sounds
say?
like it. Yeah.
I loved it, don't get me wrong, but that fight or flight mode that was already there at baseline was just getting reactivated every single time.
Mhm.
So I did that for about 2 years and I'm like, okay, God, I can't do this anymore. It's taking a toll. And it was night shift too. So you're already
Oh
on a
my
shift
gosh.
type of work
Yes.
environment. And so I'm like, okay, travel nursing, let's try this. I have a lot
Okay.
of skills and I love to challenge myself. And so did that for a couple of years and you don't really know what kind of unit you're going to be on. One
No.
night you could be on psych and the next night you may be on like mother baby. So you have to be able to adapt and just go with the flow. And
Yeah, and
so
no rapport with the team either. You're
yeah,
meeting everybody's new.
and
Gosh.
because you're a travel nurse, they kind of dump on you a little bit. So like, she can handle it. Yeah, but failure wasn't an option. So it's like you're
Right?
care of people's lives here. So after doing that, I'm like, okay, you know what? I know I want to go the nurse practitioner route. I want to have more autonomy, be able to have more say, taking care of my patients. And like I said, I was raised more holistic, and yet I'm in a hospital. It's
Mhm.
not really jiving or aligning completely. I think the biggest misconception between functional and conventional medicine, most people don't really understand what functional medicine is. So I just want to kind of take a moment here to express what that is. Conventional is what we frequently know here in the States, Western medicine. It's more symptom management, getting you quick relief, which there's a time and a place for that. But I'm more like a toddler. I want to know the why. I'm going to ask why for everything. Are you anxious, depressed? Why? Gut issues? Why? Instead of just giving you a prescription to fix that symptom, which is again a symptom of something underlying, functional medicine is more root cause analysis. So you have to really dive deep, hear what the patient is saying, and kind of put the pieces together on your own through blood work, either additional testing like through gut testing, mold testing, whatever it may be, something that potentially is causing that symptom. And so you're kind of a detective where it's like, okay,
Mhm.
you're presenting this very unique assortment of symptoms, and it's my goal to figure out what is really the underlying issue. So it's a bit different. And it seems like here in the States, though, conventional is kind of on the forefront where it's about that quick relief,
Yeah, it's
but
the
not really,
commercial medicine,
yeah,
basically.
not really thinking about like long-term effects of these prescriptions. I'll use birth control as a perfect example. I'm very thankful. Again, I was raised in a holistic environment. My mother didn't want us on any of this stuff. And it was instead like teaching you about your body, how to really understand your menstrual cycles. But here in the States, it seemed like young girls are being placed on birth control 13, 14, sometimes 11 because of acne or hormonal imbalance. But again, that's a symptom. Why are our hormones out of whack right now? Well, you probably just started your menstrual cycle. So it takes a minute for things to kind of get into a routine here as far as every month. But on top of it, the thought is either birth control or manage hormones. Let's put you on the script. What they don't tell you though is the longer you're on birth control, your body doesn't know what normal is with hormones. So when you get off of this, it takes a long time for hormones to adjust, if they even do. Why do
Mhm.
you think we're seeing such a decline in fertility? Women have been on birth control for so long, their body doesn't even know how to make hormones on their own anymore. So
Oh,
there's a lot of
gee.
imbalances. And
Yeah, I've
then,
heard that, and can't believe everything you see on the internet, but like you drastically change personality
yeah,
potentially. You're no
yeah,
longer attracted to your partner anymore.
that it's a
Your
thing.
interests change. Like it's like, holy
Yeah,
cow, that's a little
yeah.
scary.
Yeah. So I've had some women where I was helping them get off of birth control and they're like, am I still going to be attracted to my husband? I'm like, what? No, but in reality, it does change how you perceive things, how you perceive stress, how you interpret information. And on top of it, it affects your gut health. It affects your thyroid health. So you're seeing a lot of those underlying issues that are starting to develop as well. Something that you were not taught when you were first placed on the birth control. So again, it's more like fix the problem now, but not really think about long term what those effects may be with long term usage of, in this case, birth control.
Hmm.
But yeah, so that's something that I spend a lot of time educating my patients on. It's like, hey, if we have to go conventional route, we have to weigh out our risks here and the benefits, see what route is best. Although I'm primarily functional, I am open to utilizing conventional medicine too, because again, there's a time and a place for everything. And if it's used properly, there can be some good with it too.
Hmm.
But I kind of got ahead of myself. So rewind. After travel nursing, went to NP school, decided, you know what, I'm going to work at Parkland. If you've not heard of Parkland, so like I said, I'm a bit of a glutton for punishment. Parkland sees the most vulnerable population, the most underserved. So 1 year at Parkland is really equivalent to like 5+ years at any other
Yeah.
hospital.
The
It
problem
will,
solving you have to do
yeah,
is insane.
yeah. And I love responsibility. I love being under pressure because I feel like that's when I thrive. But you can't do it long term because you can burn
No.
yourself out. So yeah, did that for 4 years and was in school full time at that time as well. And then as a new grad nurse practitioner, I was really blessed to be put in a position where I was working at a clinic that was already focused on functional medicine. And as a
Nice.
baby NP, to have the responsibility of really growing a clinic on your own is kind of unheard of. So I was very thankful that I was in a role where I'm like, I can shine, I can learn and really take care of my patients. And there was a lot of trust on me. And when someone's entrusting you with your baby, failure is not an option. You have to succeed. So we did. We succeeded and we surpassed expectations as far as the growth of the clinic. And that was during COVID. And
Wow.
that was a dark time for all of us.
Hmm.
Scary, a lot of mental health issues during that time developing, more anxiety, depression, alcoholism than I have ever seen.
Mm.
And you couple that amount of stress, autoimmune disease was spiking up as well. So that was something, again, during COVID and everything we were dealing with. But I, over some time, started to feel, even though I loved my job, something wasn't in alignment. It was time for me to go off on my own. And the push for me was when the clinic was bought out by a private equity firm. I felt like
Hmm.
a lot of things were no longer in alignment, and the focus began to shift from the patient more so to the profit.
Yep.
And the amount of
Numbers,
time,
numbers, numbers. Yeah, it's
yeah,
it's a really
KPI,
bad issue right
KPI,
now.
I'm selling. And I'm like, uh, I care about the patient. If they don't need it, I'm not going to recommend it.
Hmm.
So that the alignment was starting to shift there. And so you're kind of being pushed out of the nest and essentially there. I'm like, you know what? It's time to fly. And I always did want to go off on my own and have my own clinic anyway. So I just kind of needed that nudge. And so that brings us to my clinic. It's called Interlinked Wellness. And the reason for that name is every organ in our body is interlinked. So you can't just focus on one organ or symptom. You have to address the body as a whole. So even when we do blood work, it's really diving into extremely comprehensive labs where we're looking at everything from how your pancreas is functioning, your nutrients, your hormones, things that a lot of my patients say their PCPs won't even draw. And not to dock on PCPs, they're limited. If you're going through insurance, you're told what you can draw on the patient to get covered by insurance. They're also told how much time they can spend with each patient because insurance only covers so much.
Hmm.
Whereas for me, I'm like, I'm cash pay. And the reason for this is where you can really advocate for yourself as a patient. If you want something tested, we're not limited. We can test for anything and everything. And then on top of it, we have a lot more time to dive into what all is going on. I mean, you know yourself probably when you've gone to a regular doctor, it's like, okay, how are you? Diet, are you working out? Or, something comes up in labs. Well, just eat clean and work out. Well, what does that mean? Yeah, that looks different for every person.
Hmm.
And again, a big piece of the puzzle is missing because so many labs are not collected. And so I really focus on total comprehensive labs where we can look at every single organ as much as we can test through labs. And I really urge my clients to do gut testing where we're looking at their gut bacteria, if there's inflammation, leaky gut. I feel like that's kind of a buzzword for a lot of
Yep.
people. You've probably heard of it, but you don't really
Hmm.
know what it is. So let's look at these things and see what's going on because your gut is your second brain. No one talks about that, but if something is off, even anxiety, you want to look at the gut. Your gut bacteria dictates so much. And so I really encourage my patients, if we're going to dive deep, we've got to look at everything from toxicities like mold or heavy metals, genetic mutations. And so yeah, we're really not limited. And so that's kind of how interlinked wellness came about.
I love it. Love it, love it. It's a natural progression, but um the private equity issue that we're seeing that with several
Very good.
small shops, unless
Yeah.
they can say, no, I am like, there's a succession plan within the shop that's like, no, we're passing this on to the next generation of either RNs,
Yeah.
doctors within the practice, they're getting gobbled up. So we need more
Yeah.
people to go to medical school and be
Seriously.
motivated
Yeah.
so that
And
it's not all private equity and it's not in a mutual fund at some point.
stand your ground as well, because what's happening is our health is being dictated by people in suits that hold the
Yeah.
cash, not by people that actually care about your health. It's
Yeah.
more profit driven. And so when you start incorporating money and health, it starts to get confusing. And the regular medical system out there, it is a huge business, huge. And
Mhm.
it makes me sick when you think about we're getting sicker as a whole. Like if you look at over the last century, the decline in health rapidly. Why is this happening? We have access to all of these conveniences and all of these tools to really optimize our health. Why are we getting sicker? We're more depressed and stressed than ever. Our gut health is worse than ever. Cancer is on the rise. There's more autoimmune disease than ever before. I mean, when I was a kid, you didn't hear about ADHD, ADD, anxiety, depression in middle schoolers or high schoolers. Like that just wasn't a thing. And here it
Mhm.
seems like everyone and their mother has ADHD and is getting placed on a script, which
Yeah.
why are
Versus, I
we?
think you just need to learn how to focus. That's it.
Yeah,
Or
yeah.
use these tactics. It's not that hard. Yeah.
And we're overstimulated.
Yeah. Oh.
Commercials,
Ooh. Mhm.
all you drive on the highway, how many colors, flashing lights, and then on top of it, cars, all these things you're trying to be aware of all at the same time. Yeah, our
Mhm.
brains are not even being given the opportunity to just focus on one thing. We have to chronically multitask. Of course, we're going to have focus issues. The phone
Yeah.
alone, ding, ding, ding. I mean, you know that notification is constantly
Oh,
going
I
off.
turn all that off on purpose. Yeah.
Yeah,
No, I've been to several
exactly.
conferences where they talk about having your phone near you or having notifications on. It's like, nah, I'm good. If I want to
Yeah,
go check the app or that thing like email or something, I will physically go check it, not have it notify me that there's something new. But we've
yeah,
gotten way sidetracked. That was a fantastic intro. I want to talk about all the things, but we got to get into our two questions and then we can get back. Um, so first question I ask everyone,
yeah,
what do you want that you don't already have? So you have the clinic. Now
yeah.
what?
Good question. So my husband and I talked about this when we first got together. Like, what are our goals? What do we need to feel fulfilled and satisfied in life? And so, a couple of simple things that I'm sure everyone is wanting. You want location freedom. You want time freedom, ability to allocate more time towards the things that you enjoy, your hobbies, maybe learning a new skill set, slower mornings, travel, adventure. Fantastic. I don't care about the luxury stuff. To me, cars, watches, brands, that does not bring me happiness. And now I have location freedom, time freedom, not so much. So when you have a business, you're really, especially in my position, I'm working in it,
Mhm.
not on it. And so my goal is to be able to free up some of my one-on-one patient care by allocating that off to another person that I can trust to take care of my patients for me and be able to put more time towards activities that are going to be able to allow me to have more instead of the one-on-one with patients, one to many. So through communities or courses. So really it's the time to enjoy my life. I don't really have. I feel like I'm working 24/7. And so needing to really hire someone on to kind of help take off some of that growing patient load, which is always a good thing. It's just who do you trust?
Mhm. Mhm.
Finding someone who has a similar vision, who's in alignment with me and how we take care of patients. Like our intro consults, they're 90 minutes. Like
Oh,
it's time.
good.
Not everyone likes to spend that amount of time with people. Like you have to be a people person.
Yes.
But
Yeah, absolutely.
yeah, I would say that's kind of the biggest thing for me.
So
And
you answered the second question already. So what's holding you
yeah,
back from achieving your time freedom? It's a person. You need
yeah,
another
that's
you or somebody
the
similar to you to help
copy
take care of your
paste.
people.
And
Yeah.
that one is I'm taking my time. I recognize like, okay, I need to start interviewing people and training up because it's a lot of information and you
Mhm.
have to be interested in learning a lot. Again, there's mental health, there's gut, there's toxicities. How do you balance out hormones? What supplements are actually high quality? It's a lot of
Yes.
information. And so who's interested in this? That's what I'm trying to find right now.
Mhm.
And my next step is I've had so many clients coming in with interest in fertility optimization, both men and women. The pandemic that no one is talking about is the decline in fertility happening right under our nose.
Mhm.
Like, yes, back in the day, our grandparents used to have a ton of kids, help out on the farm, whatever it was. Nowadays, you are having just in the last 50 years, we went from five-ish kids for family to two or less. And it's not just because people are choosing not to have kids, there's also difficulty. More IVF, more IUI, more prescriptions to help increase your hormone production so you can be more fertile. And it's not just women, it's men as well.
Yep.
And a lot of people don't realize that the men's health dictates the health of the placenta, which is the home for the baby for the next 9 months. So, super
Mhm.
important. So, it's not just on the woman, but yeah, I've had more couples coming in really, they've been trying and things just aren't coming together and they don't want to go more the conventional route, which is really focusing on maybe prescriptions or IVF. They don't really talk about toxins. And toxin overload is a big reason why women may have difficulty conceiving. And we're talking about like mold or leaky gut or those heavy metals, or even your body not be able to properly clear out toxins. So I'm really wanting to create a community where we focus on everything that we need to do to help improve the foundation. Conventional is focusing on get you pregnant. That's
Yeah.
short term. Okay, you get pregnant, but if the body's not healthy, you're going to miscarry or potentially the baby's health is at risk. So for me, we don't focus on the pregnancy aspect itself. It's more set yourself up for success. Optimize your hormones, balance out any deficiencies. If there are toxins, remove those. Really teach these people how to take care of their bodies at baseline, which benefits you long term, baby or
Yeah.
not. And oftentimes, baby happens because you're not stressed and
Yes.
focused
Oh my
on
gosh, yes.
creating the baby. You just, I want to improve my health. And I can't tell you how many times I've had women reach out to me. They're like, Anna, we've been doing this for just a few months and bam, we're pregnant. And that's after them trying for years.
Yeah.
Take your focus off the end goal. That's creating unnecessary stress and instead focus on really improving your health. So yeah, that's my end goal or next step. I guess I should say, because I'm always having
Mhm.
goals that I'm
Oh
establishing.
yeah.
Hire someone on that is qualified and has a similar passion and that can really take care of my clients in the way they need and deserve to be taken care of. And then on the side note, I can allocate more time to create this course and be able to help more people advance when it comes to fertility aspects.
That's awesome. No, I have so many health questions. But
Go for it.
um so I am very aware of cash practice and like just our medical loveliness that is
Yeah.
the United States. My mom owns her own physical therapy practice and
Oh,
she's cash pay and
yeah.
she spends her initial eval is 90 minutes
I love it.
and like literally soup to
Yeah.
nuts, your whole body. So I really wish that more folks, just more people like you, because they actually care about their patients and care about it's an awful business
Yeah.
model. Awful business
Yeah.
model. You actually
Yeah.
heal the person and teach them things, and then they're good. unless, life
Exactly.
happens and something comes back
Yeah.
versus
Keeping you sick.
conventional. Yeah, we keep you sick, so you have to keep coming back to me.
Yeah.
So I joke about that, but if you're actually doing good for the person, then it's not a bad business model because then there's
Yeah.
referrals and they,
Yeah.
sing your praises that, oh, you have to go see this person. So it is, I, jokingly say it's a bad business model because you actually heal people. They don't have to keep coming back.
I'm not gonna lie, it's difficult to express that to someone if they've never gone a cash pay route because
Hmm.
it's hard to comprehend. Well, I pay so much for insurance. Why is it not covering these services? Good question. And it
Hmm.
probably never will. But if you are in a position where you are truly interested in health, you want to be able to choose who you work with.
Right.
It's important where, again, insurance kind of tells you who's in network for you. So you really don't have the freedom to choose your own practitioner. But something that I'm excited to see is I'm seeing a lot more patients that are interested in functional medicine. So when they're coming in, like they're actually telling me, hey, I've done the conventional stuff. I feel sicker and I feel like it's not being addressed, like the underlying issue. So you're starting to see people are starting to question how things have been done for the last few decades. And they're
Hmm.
starting to advocate more for themselves. So it's exciting to see. I have patients in their young 20s coming in and saying, hey, I want to get off of birth control. I feel like this is not good for me. So they may not know the details, but they intuitively can sense that something's not quite right here. So
Hmm.
I do anticipate in the coming years that there's going to be, hopefully, I mean, feels like it, more of a shift. You can kind of see, like in the food industry right now, a lot of companies are getting dinged. And that's why I tell my patients, this is probably a little controversial to say, but question everything. Just because something is legal doesn't mean it's beneficial to you.
Right.
Like a lot of the things that have been deemed as legal here in the food, for example, world, banned in other countries. And that was a big reason why when I moved to the States, I'm like, I feel icky, even though I'm eating the same foods.
Same food, but you're not.
You're not.
Yes. Yep.
You're not. Even if you look at, I don't condone boxed cereals, but let's use that as an example. In Europe, boxed cereal, the ingredients, you know what they are. You can read them, you know what they are. Here, I feel like 50 additional ingredients. Like, what is all of this? But the brand is the same. So even the brand in different countries, different ingredients. How?
Hmm. Because they can. Yeah. No, but I was the kid literally sitting at the kitchen table, turning around the salad dressing, going, why does this have more sugar than this one? Like, I've always been
I love it.
interested in nutrition and all that fun
I
stuff.
love it. I mean, and that's kind of a testament to your upbringing as well. I was the same. Question everything. If I don't know what it is, don't put it into my body.
Hmm. Hmm.
Yeah.
So I'm curious for business owners, I can't ask you exactly what your clientele looks like, but have you
Yeah.
seen a trend from maybe an employee versus a business owner? Do they have different or similar health issues? Because I mean, as a business owner,
Yeah.
you literally wear all the hats. As an employee, meh. Although as a nurse, in a trauma one center, you're not running the shop, but that's a little stressful too. So have you seen a
Yeah.
difference from symptoms?
Absolutely. For me, I would say maybe it's how I'm marketing myself, but I get a lot of complicated cases.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like when I was an employee, whatever patient was brought to me, they were brought to me. In this case, I'm advertising like what kind of client I want to attract. I want to attract the client that has XYZ going on that no one can figure out because there's going to be an answer we're going to get to at some point. I would say, as a nurse practitioner, when I was an employee, they were probably, and again, maybe this goes back to the marketing, but I felt like most of my clients were females, perimenopausal. Like that particular clinic attracted more like hormone concerns.
Okay.
Whereas now, more complex, like underlying toxins, like mold toxicity, a lot of gut issues, and it's more across the lifespan. I see as young as 3-year-olds. So it
Okay.
really is a lot more advanced now, it seems like. Stress wise, yeah, totally different. Employee, I could work, we'll say 8 to 4 p.m., done. I get home, I can leave work at the office. I can't do that now.
Nope.
It's ongoing. There's no, the lines are blurred. Okay. And
Mhm.
so I really have to make sure I'm being diligent to block out time for myself. This is my self care because I can't take care of my clients if I'm not taking care of myself. Very much so, practice what you preach type of person.
Yeah.
And so sometimes I'm just like, I have to put the phone to the side, the laptop to the side, the phones, everything just has to be turned off during this blocked period and have that differentiation. It is challenging though.
Yeah. Do you have that blocked into your calendar
I
every
try
day? Like, what does
to.
that look like?
So my typical day right now, I'm not gonna lie, it's cush. As far as I can choose what hours I want to work as far as patient interaction. So I work 3 days a week and about 8-hour shifts, and I just go straight. I have a lunch break, but let's be honest,
Mhm.
I'm probably end up working through it. I make sure I'm eating, but I'm probably charting something like that just to not have to take my work, allow it to bleed into my evening.
Mhm.
But my Monday and Friday are my admin days. So it's really catching up, making sure everything is ordered, blood work, new clients are getting all of the consent forms that they need. And so my weekends, I really try to just no patient interaction, no texting, no emails, no nothing. So that can kind of be my time to reset. But I would say throughout the week, things are a little bit more blurred. So I really have to be conscious to take that time.
Cool. Yeah. It's hard.
It's hard. It's hard. And there's a big responsibility too. You're working
Mhm.
with people's lives and their health. And for me, delivering top quality care has always been the most important part of my job. I love taking care of people and I love hearing when they say, I'm feeling better. I'm like, there's nothing that feels more rewarding than helping someone feel healthier and
Mhm.
feel like themselves again, especially when they haven't seen that person in a long time.
Yeah. 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 Be joyful again.
Yeah,
Yes. Yeah. And be better like in the community. They could give more of
exactly.
themselves. Yeah.
Everything. If it's a woman, you're a better woman, a better daughter, a better wife, a better mother, everything. It has a trickle effect. And if you're working on your health, it has a trickle effect on the family too, because they inadvertently are going to start implementing more change as well.
Yeah. Yeah. So you mentioned classes. So is that
Yes.
something that exists yet? Or
Actively working on this.
okay.
So right now I'm still one-to-one with my patients, but yes, that the next step right now is this course section where we'll have a community where my clients that are interested in working on their fertility, not end goal baby, if it happens, it happens, but really working on improving their hormones and everything, they can interact with each other. I think that's really important, especially if women have had frequent miscarriages.
Mhm.
It's depressing.
Yeah.
It takes a toll on you, mind, body, spirit. And I meet these women and it breaks my heart. It's like, you want a family. It seems so simple, and yet it's not happening. And they blame themselves. Like, what's wrong with me? I'm
Yeah.
broken. No, you're not. It's a matter of just like, let's figure out why this is not happening. And a lot of times it's something simple, just B12 or folate deficiency, or maybe we've got some detox issues in the liver, it's a little sluggish. Like it doesn't have to be complicated. It oftentimes is just by addressing the simple things and taking the stress off of get pregnant now that it happens.
Yeah. Yeah. I laugh, but yeah, no, I've been around enough pregnancies working with young households that I haven't seen it all, but I've seen a lot.
Yeah.
So it's a fun journey to get to go through over and over and over again and seeing the, how they change, and then once baby's here, how tired they are, but they're so stinking cute. Like it's so much fun.
And then they deceive you because they give you the cute goo goo gaga, and you're like, I could do this again.
Yes,
What's
yes.
happening?
You block out all of the pain, all the things.
Yeah.
Yes, yeah, no, it's a fun process to get to be a part of. And I'm typically the first one to know.
Mhm.
Um, because then that affects the
Yeah.
finances. Okay. So
Yeah.
now how are we planning for the
A
next
big
9 months?
chunk of
Yeah.
finances.
Yeah. And then the rest of their lives too. So cool.
Yeah.
Well, I'm excited for your class to come out.
Thank you.
Um, I'm I'm gonna ask like I
This is
probably
safe
shouldn't, but
space.
I'm gonna ask it
Let's
anyway.
do it.
So all of these drugs that are helping people with weight loss that are
Uh-huh.
normally
Yeah.
for diabetes, I am
Yes.
so scared for
Mhm.
long-term effects.
Mhm.
Um, I've seen the symptoms with
Yep.
households that I, know that are on
Yep.
it and
Yep.
how it's affected their bodies. I'm like, great for weight loss. Like, so
Mhm.
excited for that.
Yeah.
What's your hot take on that? Ugh.
So excellent question. I think we all know what shots we're talking about here.
Yeah.
So the problem is when there's an opportunity to make money, you will have people prescribing things they have no business prescribing to generate a profit. And with that, they don't have the knowledge needed to help share with the patient what they need to do to prevent side effects with this medication. So I have patients that were like, oh, I got it on Groupon. What?
Oh my gosh, what?
Where is this coming from? Is it even sterile? Who knows? But the thing is that they don't know dosing. They're just
Mhm.
self-dosing based off of what they've seen in groups, what people are talking about. No one is monitoring it. No one really is talking about the side effects for it. There's a time and a place for these medications. They've been around for decades. And I think that's something that a lot of people don't realize. Just because the Kardashians made it famous doesn't mean that this is something fatty. It's been around. And
Mhm.
so the biggest problem is that people are utilizing it and not doing what they need to do to prevent the side effects. The biggest side effects of these medications, biggest one, muscle loss. To me, your muscle, that is your fountain of youth. Once that starts to go, your metabolism goes, your strength, mobility, that's your freedom to get around. And then with that, your bones start to become weakened because there's not enough tension on those bones. But a lot of these patients are not told that, hey, you actually need to up your protein. You actually need to strength train. You cannot use this medication as a quick fix and not do the work. And that's the biggest problem is that a lot of people either don't know the work they need to do or they still want to basically have their cake and eat it too and not do the work that needs to be done to prevent the side effects.
Mhm.
Long-term effects, I can testify to this. If you don't eat your protein and strength train and you're on high doses of this medication, it's not towards your benefit. Once you get off of it, you will gain the weight back and then some. You've also probably not changed your habits as far as eating. So you go back to eating the same foods you ate before, and maybe
Mhm.
even more so. And so that's why you're seeing this frustration. We have to look at the pros and cons, though. Obesity is a disease, right? Look at everything that's linked to obesity. Everything. Autoimmune, cancer, heart disease, Alzheimer's, anything can be linked to that. So if a patient does go this route, and that is something that maybe you were diabetic as well on top of it, it can be very beneficial if it's done properly and monitored, and you as a patient are doing what you need to do to prevent those ongoing side effects. Biggest one for me is the muscle loss because with that, like I
Yeah.
said, everything just starts to fall apart.
Well, then you're just skinny fat.
Correct. You're getting maybe skinnier, but skinnier and fatter. And
Yeah.
that's not the desired goal.
Yeah.
I have patients that have gone this route, have been super successful. And again, they did the work. They actually changed their eating habits. They started working out. They started adding in better habits. And so when they got off this medication, they had an amazing foundation. but they also changed. You have to put in the work. There's no quick fix. We like
Mhm.
to think there's a magical pill or a magical injection that takes the accountability from us. But at the end of the day, we are responsible for our own health. Nothing's going to replace exercise. Nothing. Nothing is going to replace eating a diet that is healthy but appropriate for you as well. I'm not into the fad diets. Every single body has different needs. So you'll
Right.
never see me promote just keto, just carnivore, just vegan, or intermittent fasting. I'm very against extremes. It's all about balance that you can sustain, but also is that's beneficial for your current body situation because everyone's different.
Mhm. Mhm. And how you react to all of it's different. So
Absolutely.
cool. Okay,
Yeah.
I was just curious.
Yeah.
I am not a doctor by any means. I live in spreadsheets and charts all day. So
Yeah. You're more like my husband. I can't do that. I have to people.
yeah, I didn't go into the family business. I can't do the blood and guts. Like,
Yeah.
nope.
That's
Mm-mm.
my bread and butter.
Yeah, no, I can't do it. Can't do it. Ugh, like my insides outside of me. Mm-mm, mm-mm.
Yeah.
Like, I'm covering up my elbow
We
pit so
all
you
have
can't
our
take blood.
skills, Lisa. Like you found your skill set and you're honing in on that. My husband couldn't do this either. He's like the peopling, no, it's just too much responsibility. But he excels the tech world. He's so analytical. He gets the spreadsheets. I mean, honestly, I would say that's a part of our love language. Just me watching him on spreadsheets.
You appreciate his talents. That's good.
Absolutely. I'm like, this is not my skill set. We balance each other out. He's a big reason that my business is doing as well as it is. Website, that was him. The Google,
Awesome.
all of the SEO stuff. This is foreign language to me. That's all my husband. So I really definitely commend a lot of my success. It's because of my husband.
Nice. That was actually going to be my next question. Like, what was your biggest challenge going from having worked for other people to doing your marketing for yourself? Like, what was the
Part,
biggest? Well, shoot. Okay. That's a
yeah,
lot harder than I thought.
yeah. And I know, this interview has kind of been me talking about myself, which is not the norm. Like, I don't like talking about myself. I'm more of a let my work speak for itself type of person. So, having to be in a position where you kind of have to sell yourself made
Hmm.
me feel really uncomfortable. And so, I was very thankful that, a lot of my clients, most of my success is from referrals, which is always great because that's again an example that you're doing something right and your clients are seeing the benefits. But that also made it easier for me because I didn't have to like upsell myself. I'm more of a let me show you what we can do to help fix this. And then you tell me if you want to go this route or not. But that was definitely a big challenge. And that's where my husband helped a lot, whether it was through Facebook ads, getting a Google profile going where people can find us. But also, the biggest challenge for me was really believing in myself. I think this
Hmm.
kind of stemmed from childhood. You kind of have this little bit of a, am I good enough for this? And my husband's like, Anna, you help all of these people. They're all coming back, like you said, singing your praises, referring people. I'm like, yeah, but I still don't feel good enough. A little imposter syndrome that has definitely improved as I've gotten older and more
Hmm.
established in my career. But I feel if we're being authentic, that was kind of an underlying, can I do this? Can I do this?
Hmm.
And then as we got more successful, I started having success guilt. I don't know if that's something that you've heard anyone mention before, but
Okay,
like
that's new for me. Okay.
starting to feel kind of uncomfortable, with my friendship groups or my family where I'm getting more successful than I thought I would. And I'm feeling comfortable.
Huh. Okay, I can understand the imposter syndrome because that is very much, I think, a feminine thing
I think
in
so too.
general. It's
Especially if we're in this type of role where you're more the authority figure.
mhm.
I don't feel like that's a natural feminine interest to be in a position of authority.
Yeah.
We tend to want to be a little bit more submissive, I think, by nature. So for me, that was like, okay, you're in a position of authority and you're on your own and it's sink or swim. and
Mhm.
sinking's not an option. So,
Yeah. Yeah. But I think that's also why I started this podcast, was to hopefully shed a light, have somebody else hear, oh, they literally felt the same way I did. I am not crazy. This I can do this. Um, they had the same struggles I did,
yeah,
whether it's getting financing or just confidence to just go do it.
yeah. I think the
um,
confidence is a big
yeah.
factor. But
Yeah,
yeah,
I
I haven't
literally.
met anyone that's had success guilt yet. I think for me, that's a childhood thing. I was raised money evil, success no
Mhm.
good. You need to be humble, minimize your light. And so for me, I feel like there's this internal friction that's happening where I'm like, I'm not quite in alignment with what I was raised with, which wasn't right in my opinion. So I'm trying to, find my own path here and not feel guilt or shame along the way.
Yeah, yeah. One of my colleagues, he does behavioral finance, is definitely a more, we're getting into it, researching, how were you raised with talking about money? Was it a taboo? Were you open
Yeah.
about it? Were you aware of your parents' struggles?
Yeah.
Um, I'd be interested to see what your money script score is. I might have to go find that quiz and
I
send it
will
to
tell
you.
you, my mother was constantly stressing about money, talked about money with us, but then we were also raised money is the root of all evil. Not that
Mhm.
people who utilize the money, it's the money itself. And so you have this ingrained in you. And so as you're growing up, I was also like, save every penny. Investment
Mhm.
wasn't something that was taught, it's just put it under your mattress kind of approach.
Yeah. Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
especially if they grew up, like my grandparents, Great Depression, you don't throw away anything. You
Yeah.
might need that because
Yeah.
they might not, we might have a metal shortage and then
Yeah.
we have to have all of these tools
Exactly.
or
Exactly.
whatever the thing is. So
More
it's,
fear-based.
yes.
And
Which
and
is why
part
I
of it
start
could
young with educating folks. So it's
I
interesting,
love that.
like same thing with you, is start educating young, so because it does
Yeah,
affect you
it
long
starts.
term into your future, into your successes. Cool, fascinating, fascinating, fascinating. Okay, biggest, I already asked you aha moments. Best piece of advice that you've received from a colleague or a mentor.
I would say for me, it's following your intuition, not trying to put yourself into a box that doesn't align with your skills. I think a lot of kiddos are raised with focusing on a successful career path, like be a doctor or a lawyer, an engineer, but their natural God-given talents may not align with those career paths. For me, I've seen this time and time again. If you know what your skill sets are and you hone in on those skills and you follow a path that allows those skills to shine, you will be successful. It may not be conventional success, but it will be your version of success. And
Mhm.
so that's something even for me, I'm very intuitive. And oftentimes I would like, question my intuition where I'm like, I know this decision doesn't make sense, but this feels right to me. Once I just stopped questioning it and just allowed myself to fall into it, things really started lining up for me. And thankfully, it was in a position where it was allowing my skills to shine as well. But I would say for people going forward, if you don't feel alignment with your job, we all know the saying where they say, if you do something you love, you never work a day in your life. It's total bogus. We all know this too. It's work is work, regardless of whether you love it or not. But
Yeah.
choose your difficult. Do something you love, difficult, or do something you don't love, also difficult. I'd rather
Mhm.
do something I love that aligns with who I am and that gives me that fulfillment. So that's something that I would pass on to someone else as far as advice.
I love it. Yeah, one of the ladies, like young ladies I follow, is choose your hard.
Yeah.
Choose
And
it.
that's scary.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. You have to be vulnerable and say, no,
Yeah.
I am going to work towards this.
Yeah.
Or, yeah, is it
Yeah.
worth fighting for?
Yeah.
is the end
And
result.
put yourself in positions of uncomfortability to grow. Even when you reached out to me, my natural response was, I don't want to be on Zoom. But I'm like, no, Anna, we told ourselves we were going to dive into this head first, do uncomfortable things. This is what allows you to grow, and that allows you to be a better individual. So
Yeah.
I want to be multifaceted and multi-skilled. So saying yes to the uncomfortable is a part of it. So
Yes.
thank you for reaching out to me.
Absolutely.
And I
Absolutely.
was
No, this is so much
honored to be
fun.
a part of. I listened to some of your episodes. I'm like, I do I deserve to be amongst all of these incredible women? I feel so honored. So I really appreciate it. Thank you.
Yay. Well, thank you. And I must smack you through the screen. Don't say that.
Please.
We all deserve a space, to share our story. That's what I love. It's like, why do you do what you do? And now I'm like, okay, I got to go make some more things from scratch so that I feel better, all
Yeah.
the things.
Yeah.
Drink all the water, get all the exercise.
Yeah, I tell my patients they're like my children. Did you drink your water? Did you eat your snacks? Did you get enrichment today? Did we get outside in sunshine? It really is, it's that simple, but we're
Mhm.
so focused on getting to the next step. We forget about the basics of self-care and the bare minimum when it comes to just functioning. And we start neglecting those things like, I don't really need that much water. I can survive on 3 hours of sleep. Watch your body break down. Yeah.
Yeah, very quickly. Not sustainable at all.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, any fun things that are coming out? Like I'm excited about your class whenever
Thank
that
you.
does actually get published, and open to the
Thank you.
public. Any other big projects you're working on this year?
Getting myself out on social media.
Aha. Okay. So
I'm
where
like,
can we find you now?
so I am begrudgingly on Instagram. And so if anyone is interested in learning about anything from hormones to, again, gut health, I'm very heavy on education. So I like to get little blurbs of pearls of wisdom here and there. And you can find me at Anna Evans, FNP. So ANNAEVANS I'm a functional nurse practitioner. And I downloaded TikTok too. I'm embarrassed. I have never had TikTok in my life. This is not my thing. But I've had so many patients say, hey, I learned this from TikTok and it's wrong information. So I'm like, you know what? We have to change the game here. If we're going to put out info, not from influencers who have no business talking about supplements and they don't know anything about these things, but from people that actually know what they're talking about. So yeah, it's the same handle on TikTok. It's awkward, but like I said, I'm trying to grow and say yes to the uncomfortable. And I really do want to change how we perceive health. It doesn't have to be complicated and really just help empower people again. You are in control of your health. You do not need 5,000 prescriptions to feel amazing. You just need to take care of the basics. That's the hardest part, being consistent with the basics.
Mhm.
But yeah, there.
I love it. Love it. Love it. Cool. Well, we will definitely put that in the description.
Thank you so
Um,
much, Lisa.
yeah, thank you so much for your time today and hope you all join us for our next episode.
All right, talk to you later. Thanks, Lisa.